Am I the a-hole for humiliating my mother-in-law by teaching her basic genetics? My husband and I have 3 daughters, 7, 5, 3, and another girl on the way. We are not trying to have kids until we have a boy, by the way. We just always wanted to have a big family, so we plan on having 4 babies and stop. I'll call my mother-in-law Janet to make it easier. My husband is Janet's only child, and she is proud of the fact that her family has raised great men. Grandparents, great-grandparents were influential people in my city or even country. And because of that, BS to be honest, they have this tradition to have at least one man to carry on the legacy. My husband totally disagrees with this tradition, and we made a decision together that he would have a vasectomy because we are satisfied with 4 girls. And surprisingly, his mother freaked out when she learned he had a vasectomy and has been pushing to get it reversed. When she saw that her son wouldn't do it, she began to say that I made his mind up and that I was the reason he didn't have a son. We don't cut contact because she helps us a lot with our daughters. She wants to, and she never mistreat them. Besides, they are always excited to go to Grandma's house again. Sunday was the baby shower and it was an event at my house. I had my family, friends, and my husband's family, mother-in-law, his aunts, and some cousins. There were tables scattered around, and my husband's family were at the same table. I went to say hello, talk to them to try to be present with all the tables, and here begins the part about me being an a-hole. The aunts and cousins started to congratulate me for another girl, and I think an aunt said something like, "It's too bad a boy didn't come. It would be perfect for the last child." Janet didn't even let me reply and said with a, "Not all daughter-in-law are capable of carrying out the family legacy." That's sad. I was shocked, and I admit got a little angry. Can I blame the hormones? I replied, "Look, Janet, in case you didn't know, to have a boy depends exclusively on your son's sperm, so stop talking nonsense." She was very embarrassed, so she became quiet and excused herself, left the house without saying anything. My husband thought it was funny, didn't get mad, and agreed that Janet needed it. But I suffered hate from his family who knew about what I did, and said I humiliated her unnecessarily to the point where she walked away from the party and not left for a day of the bedroom. I don't think I did anything wrong. Maybe I could have spoken less harshly, but I was tired of hearing her nonsense, and my limit was the baby shower. And yes, my husband warned her not to talk about this. For fear of different treatment with our youngest, we decided to enter low contact/no contact with her. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. If she didn't want you to tell her the fact, maybe she shouldn't have been trying to badmouth you and intentionally humiliate you at your own baby shower. Not the a-hole. Janet can dish it out but can't take it. Janet shouldn't have opened her mouth. But it's okay to humiliate Opie and not Janet? Glad Opie stood up to her. Seriously, if you don't want to be corrected in front of others, try not being wrong in front of others. Oh, so it was fine when she was trying to humiliate you by stating you were inadequate for not having male children, but you responding with the truth was beyond a pale? Not the a-hole. And to be fair, mother-in-law isn't exactly the gold standard of son-bearing either. If she wanted to improve her chances of having a grandson, she should have had more sons, or even children, herself instead of stopping at one. She was probably afraid she would have a daughter, who would marry and not carry on the name. Next story. Am I the a-hole for literally showing my dad how he behaves every day when he gets home from work? My female 16, father male 46, is the breadwinner while my mom is a stay-at-home mom. She handles everything around the house, like cooking, mopping, washing, laundry, etc. I'm the oldest and I try to help, but really there's only so much I can do. While my dad just gets home at the end of the day and literally complains about everything, like how the carpet isn't clean or how the food is cold. As a result, I'd have to listen to a huge argument daily between him and mom. It's exhausting, but honestly, I think that my dad is in the wrong here. I tried talking to him to get him to see how his behavior is, but to no avail. So, what I did was pick a day off for him and pretend to act like him. I put together an outfit that looked like a suit and put black tape over my lips to look like a mustache. At 6 p.m., I went inside the house, shouted, "I'm home!" Then sat next to him in the living room and started kicking my shoes while complaining about the state of the house at the top of my lungs. He glanced at me confused, asking what I was doing. I ignored him, then started yelling about the carpet being dirty, shower not ready, the kids needing to be quiet, and so on. He kept staring while mom and my siblings laughed. My youngest brother kept pointing towards me and saying, "This is daddy!" I then proceeded to yell about dinner, then berated my mom for not preparing it before time. My dad stopped me and, in a serious tone, asked what I was doing. I turned to him and said, "What? Can't a man effing rest after working long hours?" in the most macho voice I could muster. My dad got the hint because this was the common phrase he uses daily. He went quiet and avoided looking at me. I stopped the act and told him I was trying to show him what it's like every day when he comes home from work. He said nothing, just went outside and refused to speak to me. Later, he went on about how I mocked and invalidated him. That he does work hard and me doing this was disrespectful and invalidating. Mom said it was funny, but also thought I hurt my dad's feelings, and I could have gotten the message across some other way instead. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You held up a mirror to his behavior and he didn't like what he saw. That's on him. I hope he gets the message. He didn't even realize he was looking in the mirror until the end. Then all the feelings crashed down hard on him. Hopefully he'll learn. Good job at figuring out a method that illuminated the situation. You can't hurt someone's feelings unless they already feel bad about that thing. Like, a tall person that enjoys being tall isn't going to be upset when someone makes a tall person joke, because they don't have insecurities about being tall. Dad here clearly already feels insecure about his contribution to the family. And when you made it super clear everyone in the house also sees he doesn't contribute properly to the family, he felt like crap. Not the a-hole. He needs to see how his behavior is wrong and affects the entire household. Not the a-hole first off, but I think you have a good chance here. Listen, please. You can acknowledge, "Hey Dad, I know that probably did hurt your feelings and I'm sorry. Of course you work hard and provide for us and we appreciate it. But I want you to see that your behavior hurts Mom's feelings and hurts the family." The fact he went quiet instead of exploding in anger to me says there is hope. Like many, many dudes his age, he struggles to process those emotions, but he recognized he was feeling more embarrassed/hurt than angry, it seems. The key is to understand and withhold judgment, to recenter the conversation on not just his pain, but everyone's feeling pain and moving forward. That's tough, and you're a kid. It's not your responsibility to do it. You would be morally justified to say F off. But I always ask, do you want to win or be right? Being right often feels hollow. I hope you win. I just want to hop onto this excellent comment to add I would also recommend you having a private chat with your mom. Explain to her that me acting like Dad wasn't just about pointing out his bad behavior towards you. I also want to point out how your marriage affects the whole family. The daily fights and Dad's yelling affects everyone. We all feel it when it gets to the time Dad is due home and we prepare to listen to our dad to be mean to our mom. It affects all of us knowing our dad doesn't respect our mom. Every day we all watch your hard work. We have started trying to help you out because we know our dad doesn't appreciate or respect the hard work you do. It's so bad that younger brother recognized I was pretending to be Dad so quickly, yet Dad didn't know what was going on until the last minute. But what affects me the most is knowing that despite all this, you always put Dad's feelings first, before your own and before everyone else's. Even now, you're more concerned with how what I did hurt Dad's feelings. Then you are concerned by how Dad's behavior affects the rest of the family. Brother strongly associates that behavior with Dad, while Dad apparently has no idea he behaves like this. And your priority is me apologizing to Dad, not changing this dynamic between you and Dad, or asking Dad to apologize to us for making our atmosphere at home so awful every time he comes home from work. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to share my business profits with my husband? I, female 32, have a leg disability that got worse to the point I could no longer work. So I stayed home with the kids for 4 years. I had plenty of free time after the kids became more independent, and I found myself sitting around all day long. I have a sewing hobby that I learned while living with my grandmother since I was 13, so I started spending my time sewing. My husband made a laughing stock out of me, calling me grandma or granny and running with the jokes and teasing. It was unbearable, but I ignored him. A friend of mine saw some of my works and suggested I open a website and sell what I make. I was hesitant about it, and my husband's opinion was, meh, who would want to buy grandma's junk? But I asked my friend to help me, and people really liked my works. They started buying them off of me, which was shockingly amazing, y'all. I started really investing into this, and in 1 month, I was able to make over $200 to $300. It's been 3 months now into the business. When money started coming, my husband would ask me to buy something or make a restaurant reservation or even fix his car for him. When I refuse, he'd say that I have money from my sewing business and should really pay. I declined every single time he asks. Yesterday, he showed me a wristwatch online that he really liked and asked if I could pay for it. I said no because I have no money. He pointed out once again the money I have for my sewing business, but I told him that the money was literally none of his business. He blew up saying that I was being selfish and mean, and said that the business profit should be split equally between both of us, not just me. I used caps because he yelled those words. I told him he not only mocked me for sewing, he even doubted my potentials. Besides that, I do all the work, so why would he expect profit? He said that he, as my husband, gets half, and I should really consider it or stop the sewing thing altogether. I laughed thinking he was messing around, but he left the house then came back looking pissed. His friend called to scold me, reminding me that my husband already does enough for me to be able to find some time to sew, and so he deserves a percentage, but I still refused. Now his family are pressuring me to share the money, but I'm still refusing. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Everyone sucks here. Your husband sucks for belittling you and discouraging you. But I assume your husband works and has been bringing in an income that he used to pay for food and shelter. You got to share in that, didn't you? Your husband may not deserve a percentage, but you're supposed to be in this marriage together. It doesn't sound like you are. If that's the case, end it with him so you can both find someone more suitable. He's a bit of an unsupportive jerk. But why is your income only yours while his is both of yours? A bit? No. He's a huge, massive, raging, unsupportive a-hole. I'm with the wife on this one. Though I do have to say if my partner were as disrespectful as Opie's, then I would have been gone long ago. He has no respect for her or her business. He's just sticking his grubby hands in the piggy bank now that she's actually making money. I guess she should be paying half the bills / rent / mortgage with her sewing money then, since apparently they don't share any money now. How much would he be paying for before and after school care for their children so he can go to work? Her business is a home business that she does in addition to being a stay-at-home parent. Is he paying her for her job or investing in her business? How much would he be paying for before and after school care for their children so he can go to work? You're talking as if the kids are only his, and the mom should be paid for taking care of her own children. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my ex and his wife that I do not care about their household in front of his stepchild? Ex and I were never married, but we share 2 sons, Cole 9 and Mika 8. 3 years ago, he met his wife Janessa, and 18 months ago they started living together with her kids who are under the age of 10, I believe. The boys struggled with their dad being serious with someone, and I hated that for them, so I put them both into therapy. My ex wasn't thrilled. His biggest complaint was therapy wasn't something he believed in. But our court order states either of us can put the kids in therapy, as long as the parent who makes the choice pays, provides access to the therapist to the other parent, and it doesn't interfere with the other parent's schedule. I take the boys in my time, so it was never an issue. Once they moved in together, the boys started to really dislike things, and it only got worse when my ex and Janessa married. They felt like Janessa was trying to take over as their mom, which they didn't like. There was pressure put on them to call her mom and her kids brother and sister. I don't know everything, as the boys prefer to keep certain things between them and their therapists. But after a while, the 2 therapists raised concerns about the environment at my ex's house, and having no cooperation from him when both tried to speak to him. So it was agreed I should try to amend the parenting time he gets. The judge decided he should go from 50-50 to every other weekend and a dinner every other Wednesday. Ex was not happy. He argued that he could provide them with a 2-parent home. The judge said they were engaging in parental alienation by attempting to force the title of mom for his wife. He also told my ex that he should have cared more about his son's well-being and engaged with their therapists. Ex and Janessa are really unhappy with the new schedule, and they have both attempted to complain to me that it was disruptive to their household to have the boys so little, and to have more money taken out of their household. I do my best not to engage. Janessa's pregnant now, and they wanted to have the boys the weeks leading up to the birth, so they would be present when she has the baby. I said no. I told them it was not the best interest of the boys. So they decided to bring it up around Janessa's daughter, during a moment where the boys were not present, about how it impacted their household and how much of a strain it is on them. I told them I did not care about their household. I care about my sons and their best interest. The child heard, and my ex and Janessa called me an a-hole for saying that in front of her. Am I? Not an a-hole. Your ex and his new wife sound like hard work. Why on earth she would demand they call her mom is anyone's guess. Control thing, I imagine. I hope you and your boys are okay. I suspect is leaving most of the kids' stuff to her, and so she feels like that entitles her to the title of mom. You're probably correct. She should as a mother respect that boundary. How would she feel if someone else was telling her kids to call them mom? I hate people. At least they have a good support from you. Thank you. I try my best to keep putting them first, so I have walked away from a good many things that could have become a fight, but it wouldn't be good for them. Janessa is pregnant now and they wanted to have the boys the weeks leading up to the birth so they would be present when she has the baby. Perhaps I'm a bit too jaded, but I'm immediately suspicious. What does she really want her kids around for? Because to see the birth of their half-sibling doesn't ring genuine to me. Have your kids ever complained about being made to do more chores than is fair for an 8 and 9-year-old? Or being made to entertain or watch their step-siblings? You keep doing what is best for your kids. Not the a-hole. Chores has never been a complaint for my kids, but there has been a lot of sibling time forced which they haven't liked. They were never left in charge, but for example, Mika's class did a sibling day thing in school for art, and when he only drew him and Cole, my ex and Janessa told him it was wrong because he left out his other siblings. Am I the a-hole for returning the money to my mother-in-law in front of everyone, embarrassing her? Me, 28 female, and my fiancé, 27 male, are getting married in March. I come from an upper-class family, and my fiancé is lower middle class. This is a delicate matter for his family. Despite me being able to pay all the costs of the wedding, my parents gave the equivalent of 70% of the value of the wedding as a gift, which would be around 30K, fictitious value. And fortunately, my parents did not use this gift as an excuse to control everything at a party. When my fiancé's parents learned that my parents had given this gift, my fiancé and I didn't mention it, but my sister-in-law snitched to them. They decided to give their gift as well, and gave 3K. An amount for which I was very grateful to have received, and I deeply regret doing this, especially for my mother-in-law. I don't plan on having a traditional wedding party. My dress won't be white, lilac. There will be no religious ceremony and it will be a party for only 30 guests, and my fiancé agrees and supports this. This bothers my mother-in-law a lot, especially the dress not being white. Over time, she gave up on imposing the idea of a big party and not having a religious ceremony. But the dress is something she annoys me too much. And it continues even though I snapped at her, or my fiancé tells her to stop. Because of that, we are in low contact with her. Yesterday, it was my sister-in-law's birthday and I went with my husband. Obviously, my mother-in-law was there. Not even 5 minutes after I stepped into the party, she started again with the idea of me having to wear white because it's an important tradition. And it got to the point where she was talking to her sisters about how this new generation doesn't respect traditions and that she was sorry/afraid of these new parties. I had my limits when she spoke loud and clear that in her time the bride and groom respected their parents' opinions, even more so if they helped pay for the wedding. I got very angry and said, "Enough. I can't take it. It's not worth listening to other people's nonsense for this money." I had this money in my pocket and was going to deposit that same amount in the bank later, but I gave up and gave it to her in front of everyone. And I added that now she won't say anything because she's not helping. This generated a confusion of tremendous proportions. My fiancé's entire family fighting with me, saying that I humiliated her in front of everyone and demeaned the amount they gave. Well, I had to leave early so it won't get any worse. My fiancé understands why I did it, but said it wasn't my best moment and I could have done it in private and not in front of everyone. Am I the a-hole? Extra? Explaining some doubts in the comments. 1. It is not dollars and the values are fictitious. It was only given as a parameter of values only. 2. I didn't have exactly 3K in my purse. Translator was wrong here. It was close to 3.2K that I was going to deposit after the party. 3. I've lived with my husband for years. We've been married for years, and we're just getting it official, so I call him husband or fiancé, whatever. 4. My sister-in-law found out about this money because my husband, as they are very close, told her that he was happy that my parents covered more than half of the expenses, and this amount not spent on the wedding ourselves was saved to start IVF next year. Ha ha ha, not the a-hole. Sucks to suck mother-in-law. Act like an A in front of others. Be treated like an A in front of others. Right? It's Opie's wedding, so she can wear what she wants. If she wants to wear a frickin' potato sack, she's entitled to wear a frickin' potato sack. Leave it alone, mother-in-law. Not the a-hole. House elf-themed wedding. They are wearing potato sacks and exchange socks to be free together. Not the a-hole. Never understand the argument that people who start crap in public should be given the consideration of dealing with them in private. Mother-in-law started it. You finished it. She'll think twice the next time. Exactly. Nip that thing in the bud now, and next time maybe she'll know to behave. She is not in charge. Not the a-hole. Had you done it privately, mother-in-law still could have continued, since no one knew you gave the money back. She didn't give you problems privately. Why should you give her more consideration than she gave you? If she's embarrassed, too bad. She made you feel bad, and now she's the victim? No way. I'm glad she did it publicly. I fear that if she did it in private, future mother-in-law would have twisted things around. Next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my mother-in-law out after she watched the kids? I will be quick here. Mother-in-law came to babysit our 3 kids on Friday, 12-year-old twin girls and 9-year-old boy. She arrived at 7 p.m., was supposed to be there at 6, and the kids go to bed at 8. She stayed until 2 a.m. I paid her $150. So for 90% of the time, the kids were in bed, sleeping. When I get home, I find my mother-in-law sleeping on the couch, as she usually does when she babysits, and she usually stays the night. But things were completely out of place. Like my room had been gone through, my computer personal files had been left open, definitely were not up when I left. Files that contain intimate photos of both me and my husband, mind you. My dog was fast asleep on my bed versus put in her kennel. Strict no dogs on the bed rule, which she is aware of. Her garbage all throughout the living room. Candy wrappers, snot rags. My bathroom completely rearranged and trashed, including all of our clean towels sitting in the bathtub. The only thing I really had a problem with was my computer. Everything else was the icing on the cake. Like, why are you going through my computer files? I have personal info in there. Contracts with clients, and again, intimate photos of both me and my husband. And we have a strict no one allowed in our office rule because of this. So I woke her up and told her she had to leave. My husband was just dumbstruck, wondering what the heck happened to our house. So when I told him I was kicking her out, he just nodded because he was baffled that she went through my computer as well. And pretty embarrassed thinking his mom just saw those photos. So I kicked her out, and she is asking what she did wrong. And I asked her at this point what the heck she was doing in my office, rummaging through my computer files. She claims she was looking for solitaire, which she knows wouldn't be deep in 8 different files marked intimate and personal. So that was BS. She starts freaking out, saying she will just leave in the morning. And I say, no, now. She leaves. We wake up to several texts and nasty voicemails saying we are wrong, and that if I didn't want people going through my things, I should put a lock on it. I do have a lock on my computer, but it's her son's birthday, so not that hard to hack. Am I the a-hole? Completely and utterly not the a-hole. She's come into your house, wrecked the place, invaded your privacy and breached your trust. You have every right to kick her out. What's even worse is that you paid her to do this. She sounds like she has absolutely zero respect for you. Mother-in-law is super gross too. What kind of person looks at intimate photos of their son and his wife? I wonder if she was expecting to find someone that wasn't her son in the pictures? Not that I think Opie is cheating, but that's about the only thing I can think of that would prompt me to look through images like that. Not the a-hole, at all. If she has a smartphone, which I know not everyone has, but is a statistical assumption, she can have solitaire on her phone. So why was she on your computer? Also, you really need to put a better password on your laptop, especially if you have directories clearly labeled intimate. If she wants solitaire so badly, include a guest account that has the solitaire icon right in the middle of the desktop. What a bizarre situation. Does she have an issue with alcohol or pills? Or does she show any signs of dementia or Alzheimer's? This sounds like the actions of someone completely out of sorts. You have to pay your mother-in-law to babysit? Is this a normal thing? Anyway, not the a-hole. Sounds bonkers. My mother-in-law made me pay her to help with laundry when my kids were little. And I was also taking care of my severely disabled mother. Oh, and we'd have to throw her something for gas money like $50. Seriously, some people are something else. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for saying I told you so at my sister-in-law and brother's wedding? I, 27 female, have known sister-in-law for 3 years. She's the type of person that always needs to be right and needs to be in charge of everything. She's very demanding as well. My sister-in-law's family members are very disrespectful and rude. They don't clean up after themselves, expect everyone to act like maids or servants around them, and they think very highly of themselves. They can never be wrong and think they can do no wrong. Because of this, my sister-in-law's family don't really punish their kids. Like they have no consequences. They aren't even like the gentle parenting type either. My sister-in-law's sister has a son, and he's extremely chaotic. He throws tantrum if he doesn't get something, and he has to be center of attention 24/7. When there are birthdays, he needs a gift or opens the gifts. He needs to blow out candles. It's frustrating, which is why I'm not usually around at family gatherings and other stuff. I was my sister-in-law's maid of honor since her friend canceled on her and I was helping make invitations. I saw one of the names for her sister-in-law's nephew. I asked if she wanted him to go, and she said yeah. She then asked why. So, I told her why. I talked about his tantrums and how he'll probably throw a fit during the reception and other stuff. She got mad and said that I didn't know what I was talking about. Then she told my family and her sister, which caused her sister to write me a message saying how I was wrong and other stuff like that. Well, day of the wedding comes. Everyone comes in happy, except nephew. He's crying and is about to throw a fit. When my sister-in-law came out, he literally started screaming. The poor pastor had to stop and wait for the parents to leave. During the after party, he was back, and again crying. When they were cutting the cake, he screamed extremely loud. He pushed my sister-in-law who was holding a glass of wine and spilled on her. She started crying. She turned around to leave and I looked at her and said, "I told you so." She started crying even more now. When I got home, my mom called me extremely immature and wants me to apologize. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole. That child sounds horrible. Unfortunately, so do you. My favorite part of the story was when she said that sister-in-law has to be right about everything. Meanwhile, I feel like given we're deciding that OP is the a-hole for disrupting wedding procedures because she didn't understand appropriate behavior for wedding functions, it might be a bit more appropriate to call it everyone sucks here, since that equally applies to the nephew's parents for bringing him to the reception in the middle of a meltdown and letting him run rampant. Opie for sure was kicking sister-in-law when she was already down, but I feel like the massively greater amount of chaos caused by the nephew makes it about even in terms of who was more of an a-hole here. You're the a-hole. This is absolutely a "you're not wrong, Walter, you're just an a-hole" situation. It doesn't matter that you were right. There was no need to be that person in the moment. Exactly. What did Opie hope to accomplish by telling someone who is already having a horrible time, "I told you so"? Did it bring Opie some additional sense of satisfaction or joy? Everyone sucks here. Bad moment to say something like that, but man, I wish I was there to see it. They got mad at you for trying to save the wedding from drama. Then you're proven right, and now it's suddenly not okay? Again, bad timing, but I love the pettiness. Last story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for not changing my dress that the bride picked out at my brother's wedding?" My 19 female brother and his now wife got married last month, and apparently I caused an issue so disastrous that is being talked about a month later. I am not super close with my brother's wife, Jess, but close enough that we talk sometimes. I hate wearing dresses due to personal issues, so Jess helped me pick one that was in my style and comfort. It was a dark green dress with black lace covering it and spaghetti straps. Jess said I could wear Doc Martens and keep my piercings in. I only have like 5. Looking at myself all dolled up was the first time in forever that I actually liked my appearance. Everything is fine until the reception. My brother comes up to me and tells me I need to change. I ask why, and he says Jess is upset that I've upstaged her. I was super confused. She picked the dress. I ask what the issue is. Well, apparently the dress is more fitted than Jess initially realized and was feeling insecure about her body. Here's where I might be the a-hole. I refused to get changed. I told my brother that he's marrying a model. Not that they can't have insecurities, but that I'm sure my 5'1", 180-pound self looks like a goblin next to her. He told me to get changed or leave. I ended up sitting outside the venue with all the stoners, so I had a fun time anyway. It's been a month and my brother still isn't over it. He called me selfish even though I left. I tried to apologize to Jess, but she told me to not worry about it. But her tone also seems like she's annoyed. The kicker is, Jess's aunt has been making comments about it online, which hasn't made things any easier. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She literally picked out the dress for you. Just because you looked better in it than she thought you would, doesn't give her the right to try and have you change. Exactly. And for brother to insist she changed the dress. And what should she change to? Wrap tablecloth around herself? I don't know for others, but when I went on my 3 siblings' wedding, I just had dress that was on me. Not a closet full extra dresses for case that bride might have bridezilla tantrum fit. Hope not the a-hole. And tell brother to get over himself. World does not go around him and his wife. It's been 1 month after the wedding, so he needs to put his big boy pants and grow up, instead of behaving like an insulted princess. I'm wondering why the bride would get so annoyed with a guest looking good. Any dress she chose. Did she want Opie to look wrong/bad and that's why she's angry? I'm also wondering if the bride meant for Opie to look frumpy and then got mad when the dress fits really well/her plan backfired. Not the a-hole. She picked it. In real life, you don't get to change your mind and make everyone change for you because your feelings are hurt. She didn't like that you looked too good at her wedding. That's horrible. Did she pick something that she thought would look bad or mediocre on you? I'm not sure. On the model, it looked a little baggy. But she was also a size 10, whereas I'm size 16/18. The dress fit perfectly. Just hugged my curves a little more than was shown on the model. Jess is absolutely stunning. She's a freaking model. Not to say models can't have insecurities, but and I mean this in the nicest way, cannot find a legitimate reason as to why she'd be insecure because of me. It doesn't necessarily mean she thinks you look better than her. Sometimes people just need other people around them to look bad so that they can feel pretty. When you're shown in a dress, more so than you have probably shown in a while based on your own assessment of how you looked in it, it upset that balance for her. You're supposed to be the unattractive one, but when you showed up, you surprised everyone with how stunning you are, whereas she looked the same as always. Hi everyone, just a reminder. 1. Jess picked the dress for me to wear. I wore it. 2. She had my brother ask me to change her leave. I did not have a change of clothes, so I left. 3. You are complaining about me even though I did everything she asked. Seems like I'm not a problem here, but Jess. And you, just might be. Copy and paste as needed. My son will inherit and his affair baby will receive nothing. I'm 26 female and I have a 5-year-old son. My ex-husband, 29, cheated on me with his co-worker, Bethany, 28. I was 2 months pregnant with our second child when I found out, and Bethany was going to have his child. I miscarried and my ex left the house to be with her, and it's been 2 years since the child was born. My mother-in-law has been supportive of me. It has nothing to do with my ex or his mistress and their child, up until a few months ago. I adore my in-laws and we're extremely close. My mother-in-law and parents are the best of friends. She loves me and her grandson more than anything, and this infuriates my ex-husband's affair partner. My in-laws cut contact with them straight away. Bethany was jealous that her child would never know the love of grandparents, but at least her son has a father. This brings us to the problem. Unfortunately, my mother-in-law has been very ill for a while, and so she's updated her will. My ex-husband was an only child, so he would have gotten everything. But now, my son will inherit her house, villa, and money. I will receive a large portion of her money, and all of her belongings. Until my son turns 18, it will be in my trust, and if I pass before that, my parents will take care of it. And they do know this. That is, once they caught wind of her being ill, my ex-husband begged for forgiveness. The mistress started being nice towards her when she's started fights and called her horrible names before and forced her to be around his baby. My mother-in-law's bedbound, but she says she wants to leave with a bang so she'll endure this. I haven't encouraged her to do anything, and this is her choice alone. They want her money, and her son thinks he's still included in the will. He also thinks his child will now be acknowledged by his grandmother and will also receive money. Now, my mother-in-law hasn't actually said she's forgiven them. She despises her son and his mistress for tearing apart our family. She wants to reward those who deserve it and get revenge in one go. The mistress keeps on hinting on how her child will grow up and attend a great college and other money-involved things whenever she's around my mother-in-law. Actually, mother-in-law's niece, my cousin by marriage, has overheard her on the phone discussing what wallpaper she wants in the dining room when she moves in, and how my mother-in-law has no taste whatsoever. She also mentioned how she'll finally be able to take down pictures of my son when my ex owns the house. Too bad for her, it will belong to my son, and no changes will be made until my son becomes 18. It is his grandmother's home, and he should be allowed to cherish it in the way she's decorated it. I'm not really allowed to tell anyone, and though this revenge will be satisfying, I'll have to lose my mother-in-law. It's kind of a win-lose situation, and I dread the day when she'll take her last breath. She means a lot to me. I love her. But she wants this for her grandson, and has said that she cannot rest until she knows her son and his mistress have been punished. She wants this because her childhood was also ruined because of her father and his affair partner. She wants my son to know that he was loved and will always be loved. I hope my son will always value the great women in his life, and I wish he had more time with his grandmother. I might make an update if anyone wants it, though I pray to God it's a long time before that. Edit. Thank you all for listening to me and giving me advice. As for those who are angry at me for not asking my mother-in-law to include my ex's new child, I can't do anything about that. Yes, I'm happy and that's selfish, but I'm going to put myself and my son first. That child contributed to my miscarriage, and is one of the reasons why my son has not had a father for over 2 years. I can't change my mother-in-law's mind about him. I do pity the baby, but it's not up to me to fend for it. It's not my responsibility. I've tried talking to my mother-in-law, but she's had her whole childhood ruined by her father, who made his affair children his top priority. This is why she wants nothing to do with it or her son. He knows that she went through so much because of cheaters, yet he decided to do the same to her. He has seen his grandfather favor his aunt and uncle over his mother. If this happened to you, you wouldn't be so happy about sharing yet another thing with a baby. Thank you again to those who have listened to me, and I've read out the nice comments to my mother-in-law. We've had a great laugh together. The mistress would send me photos of her ultrasounds after I miscarried, either to me or to my family. In the first envelope, she sent a letter full of the nastiest things about me, my son, and my miscarried baby. She'd even tagged me in social media on an account I didn't know about. It was an invitation to her baby shower. She has done plenty of disgusting and hurtful things to me regarding my miscarried baby. The people who are coming at me in the comments would not be as civil as me if anything like that happened to them. Ignoring her child is honestly the best option. I do not want my son to grow up with her son. And to those who are insulting and saying rude things about my dying mother-in-law, you are truly disgusting. Now for the top comments. I'm sorry that this situation is bittersweet though. I hope your mother-in-law gets better. Thank you. I hope she gets better too. Imagine if the mother-in-law gets better and the true colors of your ex and the affair partner come back out now that the inheritance is a long way off. Please have the will overlooked for the lawyer just in case he contests it and to prevent any loopholes. Yes, she's had that done by 2 separate lawyers, and my ex-husband willingly gave me full custody of our son, so he shot himself in the leg. As soon as she passes, your ex is going to be in that house and trying to establish himself. Ask the lawyers how to mitigate that, because you will be grieving and shouldn't have to endure that right then. Mistress and your ex will absolutely not last when they realize they are not getting the house. Divorce within a year of finding out, I reckon. They aren't married, though I hear she's been wanting it from the moment my scummy ex left my doorstep. I'm in contact with some of my ex's colleagues, and the amount of crap they tell me makes me laugh. A few things are a bit sad, but they deserve it, not gonna lie. Nothing life-threatening or to do with health, obviously, thank God, because they still have a kid to look after. Mistress has a bit of a money-spending problem, a large problem actually, and they have lots of fights over it. Her parents hate my ex for not allowing their precious child to spend more. He complains about this at work to some of his friends. He's had an emotional affair with someone in his office because he thinks the mistress has been cheating on him too, as in sleeping around. They can't trust one another. Still, what comes around goes around, though I hope they can resolve this for the sake of the kid. Sometimes the stupid loser whines at work about how he should have never left me for his mistress. But then again, he says he's glad he left our son behind. Next story. My dad wants to rebuild our relationship, but I have no interest in him. My 25 male father has always favored my sister. Not only does the family call him out on it, he admits to it. His defense is that my sister looks so much like our late mother that he can't help but spoil her. My sister caught on this and used it to her advantage. If she wanted something from the store, all she had to say was "please dad," and he would get it for her. If I asked for something, my dad would ask me what I've done to deserve it. And if I couldn't think of something good I did recently, I didn't get it. Whenever my sister did something bad, she would begin to cry and dad would easily forgive her. If I did something bad, I always had to face the full consequences. Dad would leave work and come get my sister from school for anything as small as a splinter. Well, I could be throwing up and Dad would say he couldn't leave work, and I had to tough it out. I tried so hard to earn his love and attention, but nothing worked. I tried excelling at school, I tried acting out, and I even forced myself to get into his hobbies in hopes we would bond that way. The day I gave up is the day I found out how little my dad cared about me. I was turning 15. The plan was for me, my dad, sister, uncle, and 2 friends to go on an arcade that was a 2-hour drive away. The day before my birthday, my sister got the sniffles, and Dad said she was in no condition to travel, and we would have to cancel the trip. I tried to convince him to leave her with our grandparents, but he didn't want to leave her to suffer alone, so he told me to call my friends and tell them, while he went and called my uncle. After we walked away, I went and cried my eyes out. About a gallon of tears later, I got a call from my uncle telling me not to worry. He would take us to the arcade. I ended up having a great time and forgot all about my dad and sister. But when I got back and my sister saw all my prizes, she asked if she could have one. I said sorry, no, these are from my birthday trip. Later, my dad came to me and told me it would be nice if I gave my sister something. I replied with something along the lines of, you know what would be nice? If you didn't try to cancel my birthday over my sister's runny nose. My dad called me selfish and said my sister's health was more important and I would be a good big brother if I gave her something. I still didn't give her anything. After that incident, I gave up on my father and just focused on those who actually cared for me. My father either didn't notice or didn't care. As long as he had my sister, that's all he needed. He didn't start caring until it made him look bad in the public eye. My senior year, the band had an award ceremony. I didn't even bother asking my dad to attend. Instead, I asked my aunt and uncle. My dad didn't notice until he saw not only the family post on Facebook, but the school as well. A lot of the comments on the post were asking why my dad wasn't there, so he confronted me and asked why I hadn't told him, said he would have loved to go. I replied, in all the years of me winning awards, you've never showed up to support me. Why would I expect you to start now? Later, I find out from my cousin that my dad called my uncle to fuzz at him for taking his place, and my uncle told him the same thing I did. For a brief moment of my life, my dad seems to start caring about me, but then my sister won a sports award and he forgot about me again. I moved on, went to college, and made a life for myself. I saw my dad every now and then, but our relationship stayed the same. Then, one day, my dad's worst fear came true. My sister moved on from him. She moved across the state to be near her boyfriend and his family. My dad cried to anyone who would listen. He would say how he's alone and has no one, but his obsession with my sister not only drove me away, but everyone else in the family as well. He showed up to my house one day and wanted to talk. He wanted to try and fix our relationship and have father-son bond. He said he didn't mean to mistreat me and that he just misses our mom so much. And my sister was all he had left of her, so that's why he acted that way. That's when I pointed out that I'm our mother's child as well. And he basically just told me he didn't see me as his child. He tried to backtrack and say that's not what he meant, but I wasn't having it. I told him I had no interest in him or having a relationship with him. He'll still try to get involved with me every now and then, but I keep him at an arm's length. I feel that it's too late to repair all the damage he has done. Wow. So I guess you weren't your mother's child too, since your sister is all he had left? Glad to move on. You're a kid who lost a mom and a dad in a sense, and there's no coming back from that. Out of curiosity, do you still talk to your sister? Not much. I'll text her to check up every now and then, but that's it. I also had a sister who was daddy's little girl, whereas I was daddy's other daughter. And he doesn't understand why now at 23, I still absolutely do not desire any type of relationship with him. You don't owe him anything, and don't have to reconcile if you don't want to. Do what makes you happy, nothing less than that. I really don't get parents who are like that. I dated a girl who was a daddy's little girl, and she told me how much her father favored her over her siblings, and he'd even frequently say to all of them that she was the favorite. For example, if he bought them chocolate or anything, he'd always give more to her and say that's because she's the favorite. It baffled me that she also thought it was normal, and she didn't see anything wrong with it. She had a younger brother and 2 older ones. He'd also severely beat all her brothers, but he'd never even be harsh with her. Only her mother would try to discipline her, but the father would stop it. The funniest thing is that she said that she agreed in physically beating children as a form of discipline. Like, no wonder, you were never the one being beaten. The mom did not beat her or any of their other children though. Last story. I am not the mother. I'm 43 female and recently married a man, 45 male, who has 3 kids, 12 male, 10 female, and 7 male, from a previous relationship with his ex, 42 female. My ex-husband of 8 years had a degenerative disease. We weren't able to have children, and he eventually succumbed. I was ecstatic about being a stepmom. I was determined not to be that stepmom. I wouldn't demand that the children call me mom and accept me as mom from the get-go. They should take their time. Well, they absolutely hate being told anything by me. I can't enforce chores without being told I'm the worst person in the world. Husband even told me to stop being harsh to them. And just because I married him, it doesn't give me the authority. I worked my butt off to help 12 male with a science fair project, but I wasn't allowed to attend his presentation because his bio mom wanted to go. I bought 7 male the plushie he wanted, and bio mom went off on me for taking the experience away from her, and husband took her side. 10 female absolutely hates everything about me. My voice, my mannerisms, my existence. She isn't shy about that either and will let me know. And husband says it's because I'm trying too hard to be her mother, when I'm not. I feel a crippling amount of anxiety when it's our turn with them. I feel like I'm unwanted in my own home. I brought this up with my husband, and he got mad at me and told me to get over myself and that I am not the mother. I am not the mother. Okay, so I cooked for myself only. My cooking is nothing to scoff at. I went to chef school in my home country. I specialized in several types of ethnic cuisine. I worked at fine dining restaurants. And when husband complained, I said that maybe bio mom should have packed some food for them because I am not the mother. I am washing my own dishes and my own dishes only. I clean my own space and do my own laundry because I am not the mother. I don't enforce chores because I am not the mother. The children need help with math and languages. I said that maybe husband should pay for a tutor because I'm not the mother. Finally, he told me I'm being petty and I lost it. I said that they do expect me to be the mother, but only on the boring or difficult things. I am not allowed any of the fun or rewarding parts of being a mother. They're using me and I'm done with it. He apologized and said that he didn't mean it that way. So I asked what exactly he meant. And he said he doesn't know, but is really sorry and he will try to do better from now on. But that he can't do this without me. Now I don't know what to do. Edit, I will do my best to reply to everyone. In short, yes, I rushed my marriage. My sweet and loving ex-husband left this world far too early, leaving me heartbroken and lonely. Then comes this guy offering me a full family, full of life. I was a fool. I'll be looking for a therapist, possibly a lawyer. I'm overwhelmed with all the support. I'll be thinking long and deep how to proceed. Thanks to all of you. Now for the comments. I nearly posted asking if he married you to be the nanny, but I'm sure that if the nanny tried to enforce a rule, he'd back her up. Genuinely, you are married to a man who is not your partner and does not have your back. Maybe some couples counseling sessions to try and work out what you need from each other going forward, or maybe you need a better spouse. And to be honest, if you want bio kids, this sounds like a really fraught situation to bring one into. I think he feels guilty for splitting up their family and tries to make sure he always takes their side no matter what. Bio mom is extremely competitive towards me. She's very eager to let me do the boring things she can't be asked to, but thinks I'm invading her territory if I try to do anything fun with the kids. She loves getting praised for how well the kids do in math, but she never lifted a finger to help them. She's awful at math, so I did it all. But then I'm told I'm wrong and overstepping if I expect any acknowledgement for that. If he feels guilty for splitting up the family, that's on him. He needs to support his actual wife and not let his kids verbally mistreat you. They don't have to like you, but they shouldn't be allowed to be so combative. It sounds like him and ex both are treating you like a live-in maid. Dad should be tutoring his kids. During their stay at her house, Dad should be the doing person because, as he said, you're not the mom, you're not the parent. They are the children of your husband, and during his time with them, he should be fully in charge of all things kid-related. Laundry, meals, homework, entertainment, bedtime, you name it. And it's Dad's job. I'd go so far as to be away as much as possible when the kids are there. Shopping, visiting, library time, whatever. Just away. Too many women who marry men with kids get those kids dumped on them without any authority attached. Enough already. He even insisted that I stay at home to care for the kids. I did it because I really like kids. I made a huge mistake.